Quintessence really represents true character, high character, the highest integrity. And so leadership is absolutely action. And so I'm excited to be here with you today. So, what I'm going to do is also introduce my guest, but I'm going to turn my head to the right because this is where we're actually broadcasting. So, if anybody comes on to LinkedIn, you will see me. So, if I turn to the right or the left, I am still very present, but I'm just making sure that I capture any comments that may come in. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce my guest for today, the amazing Dr. Caroline, not Carolyn, Dr. Caroline Emmett. And she is just such a treat. She is a woman who I had the pleasure of meeting at a business event last year in 2024. And there are some people you just hit it off with that you just truly connect with, that you just know, yeah, that's my person. She was one of those people. And since then, we have begun to just create our own relationship and grow our own, just kind of in our own lane, whatever you want to call it. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know her more deeply. So I'm going to ask Dr. Caroline just to give us a little bit about herself, and we'll just go from there. Dr. Caroline.
First of all, Alicia, thank you so much for asking me to join you. This is going to be a blast, and I love you. I think you're fantastic. What a powerhouse.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very, very much.
My
I
honor.
appreciate it so much. I met Alicia, and we actually had a common bond in that we had both had experience in the pharmaceutical industry
Yes.
as a woman working and trying to get forward in the pharmaceutical industry and being successful in that. So we had a common theme that we immediately connected with.
Yes.
And then over time, Alicia got to know a little bit more about my story and just added to just the richness and complexity of how we're interacting with each other. Because I have started to come out about my situation where I got I was, high profile pharmaceutical industry doing well. And then I got really, really, really sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Ended up with losing my vision, losing my sight, my hearing, and I actually lost my ability to walk for a while.
Wow.
Long story short, diagnosis of multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
What is fascinating to me at that time when it happened, I did everything that I could to disguise anything was at all wrong because I was in the pharmaceutical, I was the woman, I was the one who was pushed. I tried to ignore it and
Mm.
heal privately, if that's
Mm.
even a possibility. What a crazy thing. But that's kind of the pressure, perhaps you understand this,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
also
Yes.
in pretending that nothing was wrong with you, right?
I'm going to
And so
pin
I've
that.
come out.
I want to pin that right there to our listeners. How many of you have pretended that nothing is wrong? You've gone on business as usual. You have put yourself and your well-being to the side because you've got to stay the course. I am who I am. This title, this industry that I operate in, I must continue, and I've got to put myself on the back burner. So I want you to hear, if that is who you were, who you are today, you are not alone, and it does not have to continue that way. So with that, Dr. Caroline, please continue. Tell us more.
I think really by allowing myself to step away from that and
Mhm.
actually now having the luxury of being able to see it from the 1,000-foot view or whatever you want to call it, I realized that that maybe wasn't the best way.
Mm.
I've had so many learnings from this whole experience for me. And really, with the guidance and the camaraderie of you and the group of women that we know, I understood that it was wiser to actually come out and just talk about it and
Yes.
just acknowledge that life changing events like this happen.
Yes.
It's nobody's fault.
Yes.
You're not broken really.
Mm.
And there's so many learnings and beautiful things that I found out about myself allowing myself to go through that journey and acknowledge that. So
Mm.
it's been a luxury that I've been able to step away from the situation and actually see it for what it is now.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be able to pay it forward and share some of those experiences and some of what I learned and some of the tools that I used to become whole again,
Mm.
and maybe even more than I
Mm.
was before. And
Wow.
I'd love to be able to share those experiences with people and see if there's things that resonate for people who maybe are also going through these life-changing experiences in the face of being perfect.
Yes. And Dr. Caroline, I can fully relate to that. There are so many things that I didn't share. My dad went through dementia, right? My dad was diagnosed with dementia. I was a caretaker for my father for over 5 years. And there were things that when I was still in my career in biopharma, where I didn't share all those pieces because I was afraid, what will they think of me? Will they think I can't cut it? Will they think this is too much for me? Will they think, will they think, will they think?
Yeah,
Instead of putting myself at the forefront of that dialogue. Yeah.
right. And that's a very I don't like to generalize, but it's very much a thing that we do to
Yes.
put ourselves to one side
Yes.
because we don't want people to think that we're not generous or we're not helping or what, and looking back on it, maybe not so much. But
Yeah.
it's a complicated thing, obviously, but
Absolutely.
you know, there's so many
Absolutely.
facets to it. And I've learned so much about myself and about
Mm.
how I work with and interact with people. And like
Yes.
I said, the idea of being able just to enable conversations with people to see if they can find ways of navigating difficult situations or challenging life situations in a different way.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that, like that real conversation in the doctor's office
Yeah,
when first you're understanding you've been diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and then how the doctor was basically telling you what you can expect for the rest of your life, the decline that you
right.
were inevitably, this was going to be your life. This is who you were going to be. This is what you were going to experience. So I'd really like to pull that apart a little bit because
Yeah,
people may be in that in
yeah,
some facet, right? Maybe it's not MS. Maybe it's another,
something else.
but it's similar to something that they're navigating. Can you
Some
talk
sort
about
of
that?
diagnosis that may implies that your life is going to change.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
And often I was I was fortunate, I suppose I was fortunate because it was like I knew a little and maybe that was a bit dangerous, but I because I'm a neuroscientist by
Right.
training and
Right.
I was in the pharmaceutical industry studying neurological disorders, I kind of knew what the potential outcome of a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis looks like. I had that, right?
Yes.
A lot of people are going to come into the doctor's office and they're not even going to know what the hell they just said they have.
Right. Exactly.
Scary as I mean, that's so scary for people
Yeah.
because it's like that on the the platforms of the trains and they're like "Wah, wah, wah, wah," and
Yes.
you're like, I have
Yes.
no idea what this person just said. I
Yes.
think it's important,
Right.
but your mind is like, I have no idea, right?
Mm.
That is very, very scary and totally understandable.
Mm.
I had at least some of the information already because of my training and my background. That did not mean I wasn't scared of shit. Excuse my
Yeah.
French, shouldn't say
Yeah.
that. But
Absolutely.
I knew that what the doctors were saying, and they have to say it, I think. I think
Mm.
they have to kind of indicate
Right.
what the worst case or what is the possibility or probability of
Right.
the outcome. I think they have to do that.
Right. Right.
And it didn't sound good.
Mm.
So of course you're going to be so many emotions, so
Mm.
many different and I wasn't immune to that, even though I had an understanding of the situation.
Yes.
And so I remember just sitting going, what now?
Yeah.
What now?
Mm.
As my husband had been trying to carry me into the doctor's offices to do things,
Mm.
get things done. What now? What now? And it's
Yeah.
so hard to be able to pick yourself up from that
Yes.
and go, you know what? Maybe not. right? Because I think it's wise to have that, maybe not, even though it doesn't feel like that at the time, you know?
Yes. And I think that maybe not is that little bit of oomph that kind of kicks in, even if we don't realize it in the moment, that there is a question mark that no, this maybe not be my reality, what you're telling me. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. And that's actually very hard. The first doctor's appointment, I didn't have that.
Mm.
But as I went forward, I started to, what is it? I guess I'm feisty. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Like,
very feisty.
do you think so? But I mean,
Yes.
it was, even to just have that little spark of, well, you know what? I'm not sure about everything, that it's all going to be like that.
Yeah,
Because I think if you give your power away to them, that's not useful for
exactly.
you,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. And I want to ask you a question too. As you said, you were very honest. In that moment, that is a very heavy prognosis that has been put upon you, right? And you are a neuroscientist by trade. You're a part of the pharma industry, and sometimes that can be a good or a bad thing. Like let's be honest, right? Because we know
Exactly.
what those investigator brochures say. We know about those clinical trials. We know all the things, right? And so we can fall into a space where we just take ownership of what the physician says. And
Exactly.
and so I'm very happy to hear that you had the maybe not like, but like, as you said, it wasn't the first time because it probably was like womp 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 after you heard the diagnoses. And
Right.
then Dr. Caroline, as you began to operate in your maybe not season, what did that look like? Because as a neuroscientist, someone who understands the brain, how the brain functions, how the brain falls in line, really how we are the navigators of our brain, not vice versa.
Mhm.
What did that look like as you started to be that feisty woman that you are and take
Yeah.
ownership of that? What did that look like?
Now, when I look at it, Alicia, do you know what it is? I think that people think the brain controls the body. I
Hmm.
don't think that's true.
I
I
don't either.
think that you have to acknowledge what is happening with your body and inform the brain in addition to listening to the brain. I think there's a whole unit going on here. And if
Mm,
you just focus on those aspects that are not so good, that's not telling the body that it has the capacity to restore some things
mm.
and bring things back online potentially.
Yes.
They might not look exactly the same as when they were before.
There you
That's
go.
okay. But having a conversation between the two systems, I'm looking back on that now. I had that in me, that I acknowledged that there is information that was coming from my broken body
Wow.
that my brain had to take into account.
Wow.
That helped me. See, this is now looking back on it. I don't know that I was aware that that was what was happening,
Yes.
but I already had a history in previous life where I actually did often listen to what my body was saying to me.
Mm.
I don't know that. I think that's a really powerful tool for
Yes.
everybody,
Yes.
just to have a quick conversation with the rest of it
Yes.
and inform the brain, because
Mm.
that would then click the directive. Oh, okay, I will need you to heal this part. Or, yeah, I'll do something differently with
Yes.
this part. There's a communication and a conversation that has to happen
Yes.
in you,
Mm.
not with your doctor.
Please hear that, my friends. There is a conversation that needs to happen in you, not with your physician, not with an exterior person, with you, the inner you, the true healer in you. And you inform your brain. I want you to hear that whole dialogue that Dr. Caroline just gave us. Thank you, Dr. Caroline. Please continue.
I didn't realize it at the time, but that was a huge, powerful thing. And so I took all the information. I was a puddle of like that
Of
when I
course.
first heard all of this. I was also grateful that I had a support group, i.e., my hubby, who
Yeah.
was able to support me in the first part of this whole thing, which was really awful.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Beginning to understand that there was some healing my body had to do. I also understood, I made a decision myself
Mhm.
that I also had to have some tools and technologies outside of myself to help me heal myself inside too.
Yeah.
So I did take into account those aspects of the medical profession that were able to help me bridge to my personal healing,
I love
if that
that.
makes any sense.
A bridge. A
Right.
bridge,
It's a
right? You.
bridge. It's not a band-aid. It's a bridge that puts out the flames so that you can focus on healing yourself,
Mm,
right?
mm.
I'll give you one quick example.
Yeah.
One of the parts of my brain that was on fire was an area that is responsible for holding food, or if it feels like that the emetic response. I
Got it.
could not get any nutrition. So
Mm.
for months I couldn't get any nutrition. There is a drug available that you can take that controls that.
Okay.
So I did it so that I could get the nutrition and start to nourish my body to
Yes.
enable me to heal.
Yes.
That's like an example of utilizing the what is available to you in the medical community, but to the help, your personal help, right?
Yes.
That's an example.
Yeah, thank you for
So I
that.
did
That's
stuff like that.
excellent. I appreciate that because sometimes we may go lean a little too far one way. The pendulum swings a little too far. I'm doing all Eastern medicine. I'm doing all Western medicine. Understanding the bridge is knowing how they both are complementary,
That's exactly right.
but knowing yourself and what you require, where you need to lean for what part of the journey that you're on.
Exactly. And I want that to be very clear. I'm not a scrap that completely. That's not
Yes.
true. It's utilize it in a way that you understand is going to help you heal. That's
Mm,
kind of what happened for me. And I
mm.
was able to then get some nutrition and then start to, enabled me to start to move my body, even
Yes.
though it was awkward. And so it's a step.
Yes.
That's what you
Yes.
do. It's not
Yes.
miracles
No.
necessarily, it's step. The miracle is that it
Mm.
does happen within yourself.
Yeah, that's the miracle that it does happen. It can happen. And I like what you said. It may not look the way it used to look. It may not look the way you want it to look, but the miracle is that it can happen. There can
Right,
be some movement.
right.
And when we experience these traumatic things in our lives, like this was a lifestyle. Like you said, you had a beautiful support system in your hubby, and I know your
Mhm.
daughter was just amazing as well because she is a gem. Just what came out of this for you? Because there is something that was inspired for you. Like, so what is your life's work? What came out of this experience? What was the call that your impact is to be in the world as a result of your own experiences and how you navigated this very, very dark time in your life, to be quite
Mhm.
honest? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think, yeah, I think I'm touching on it with you now, and that is if I can be of value to
Mm,
someone and have in a conversation that triggers something in them
mm.
that enables them to move forward in the face of some sort of life-changing medical diagnosis or event,
Yes,
if I
yes,
can share tools that I learned looking
yes.
back, that would then empower them to
Hmm.
do to have their journey
Yes,
rather than sitting back and just letting it be
I love it.
and pay this whole experience forward
Yes.
would be the biggest honor of my life. If
Mm.
I could help anybody understand the things that I came to understand about
Yes.
myself and use it their way to heal
Mm.
themselves,
Mm.
that would be so beautiful to me.
And I love that because I can tell you personally when, although, right, I'm a woman in STEM, I have a background in biology and neuroscience, right? Like I know how the brain works. And when my father was diagnosed with dementia, that was such a gut punch, right? And then navigating that space and then but have had I known you in that time, like having that support system. Yes, I had my husband, I had my sister, I had all my friends, but having someone who actually understands the brain and the nervous system and how things move and how what are some things that we can
Yeah.
understand, right? That it may not look the same, may not dad is going to have some cognitive decline. But what are some of the things that can empower him, empower us as caretakers?
Right.
That's the important work and the impact that I hear that you are here in this moment to do now.
I
And
sincerely, that would be such an honor to be able to do something
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and as you were talking, and I just, the word just popped up, I looked at you and it's like going with grace,
Mm,
whatever that journey might look like, go
yes,
with grace, grace for
yes,
yourself, grace for the process, grace for everything. I mean, there were times where I couldn't do anything,
yeah,
but I had grace for myself saying, oh, maybe tomorrow, or,
yes,
it's going to be okay. Just
yes,
allowing myself to have those moments of anger or to have those moments of sadness, but just have grace for yourself. And
yes,
you had that, right,
yes.
as you were going
Thank
through
you.
that process with your dad.
Yes.
And that's, I think, a very important thing as well.
Thank you for bringing that to the forefront. And I believe that is what leadership looks like, right? Having grace with ourselves and understanding that it's not all going to be perfect. It's not going to be this yellow brick road that is lined with gold all the time, right? There are going to be roadblocks, there are going to be pitfalls, there are going to be divots and all things in between.
Hmm.
But we do get beauty for ashes because I do want you to share the beautiful jewelry that
Oh,
was inspired as a result of this and what it means. Yeah.
uh, I so when I was doing my neuroscience, I realized that I had a creative side. I was
Mm,
looking at ways to uh, represent the brain to folk in ways that told a story,
mm,
pictures. So I
yeah.
did technologies to make sure that I could generate pictures of the cells and the structures in the brain and what they were doing. And as I was doing that, I fell in love with the beauty of the brain. I
Mm.
think the brain is beautiful,
I
personally.
agree.
Okay. I just really like it. And so and then I had this kind of thought, why don't I take some of those beautiful images and things that I saw in the brain that are just amazing and translate those into pieces of wearable art?
Mm. And what does that represent?
So, like, this is representative of like neuronal networks.
Yes.
So I call it my activation line because the
Mm.
neurons are the activators. They're the ones that just get the old engine running.
Yes.
So they're the activators of our systems. And
Yes.
so I call it my activating line. And I have a
Mm.
whole range of
Mm.
different, I have bracelets.
Ooh, oh my goodness, Dr. Caroline, put that a little closer to the camera. Ooh, girl. Oh,
And so it's just that, and I've had people put them on and go, whoa, this is really fun. So it's like I have neurons in my ears.
wow. I'm gonna get a pair when I see you in April. I'm gonna tell you what I want you to bring me, and I'm gonna get something. I love that. I'm ready to be activated. I love that.
But I have like a whole collection
Yes,
line of that.
yes.
And then I actually decided that I would also do another line
Mm,
that is around a different cell in the brain.
okay,
And it was the cell that went cattywampus when for the MS.
okay.
So there's a cell involved in your brain when you're diagnosed with multiple sclerosis that they're not functioning very well at all anymore,
Okay.
right? And that cell, I then I had pictures and stuff, and I had made a whole line with those, right?
Wow.
So they are also another line of mine, and so I was basically paying full circle and just
Yes.
acknowledging the cells that weren't functioning well in my brain
Yes.
in multiple sclerosis. And
Wow.
so and again, I have a whole different, I have lots of different things.
Yes.
Um, but I show you the one big piece because
Yes.
I love it. And it was
Yes.
just,
Oh my goodness. And what are those cells right there?
so they're a very long word. They're called oligodendrocytes. But basically,
Love
they're
it.
the cells. You know how, when you get the electrical wiring, so you have
Mhm.
the wire, but then it's bound with,
Yes.
and that makes sure that the electricity goes in the right
The
direction.
current. Yes.
Well,
Hmm.
those cells are the guys who do the plastic around. So they wrap around
Mm.
their wire, right, to make
Wow.
sure everything's going in the right direction.
I love
So
it.
if they go on fritz, like if a mouse gnaws your plastic and the whole thing is fritzing, it's the same
Right.
idea. It doesn't work anymore.
Wow.
And so that's why I have those cells. I just think it was very important for me to have that too.
I love that. And
So
I
I have
love
lots of
that.
different lines and stuff.
No, I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I love how this journey of yours, how it has transformed into art, right? How the body is an art piece too. The
Right.
brain is an art form.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And I love
it's
it too
oh,
that it was just kind of nice. See, and I'm grateful that I have had full recovery from my multiple
ooh,
sclerosis. Because they did tell me I was going to be paralyzed for life, and I'm not.
no, you're
They
not.
did tell me that my sight, I mean, my sight has always been crap, but they
Okay.
weren't sure about that.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty much returned to full health,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Nobody would ever really be able to tell that I have multiple sclerosis, not really.
Right. Right.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
Um, and just acknowledging how it then enabled me to step into doing this thing by making
Yes.
jewelry and representing, because it might not be a possibility for me, but it
Right.
was. That's what I'm talking about, Alicia. I didn't know what my path was going to be once I had the diagnosis.
Mm.
My life is so much richer
Mm.
now. I mean,
Wow.
my life is richer now than even before.
And that's
So
why I
I'm
said,
not gonna blame
no, no blaming.
mm-mm.
Beauty
So
for ashes.
I'm
Beauty for ashes.
totally grateful for it, right?
Yes.
The fact that I can do this
Yes.
and,
And actually be a support to others who may be in that traumatic space, right? Be in the air in that moment that they're still
mhm,
trying to figure it out and they still feel very alone or they feel thrown back and forth or they feel at the mercy of their physician, to be able to be a support, an advocate, to be able to help people through this, through dialogue, through whatever that looks like, however they require you, is such a gift, Dr. Caroline.
yes, truly is. It truly is. I
And then
love the
I
way
just
you said
believe your
that. That's
work,
beautiful, the way that you said that, Alicia. It's
yeah,
just
it is a
lovely.
gift. And this is why I believe that sometimes we think leadership has to look one way. It's only in an office or an organization, or leadership is living life the way you're living it, Dr. Caroline.
Thank you. Yes,
Creating, supporting, loving, honoring, walking in grace, connecting. This is leadership. You are a demonstration of leadership.
thank you.
And my pleasure. And you inspire me. And that's what leadership looks like. There should be a level of inspiration of, ooh, that is what it's about. And that's who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so I'm honored to know you, and I want others to know you. And I want them to know if there is a need for some support, how can they connect with you? How can they have a conversation to see what's possible for them, Dr. Caroline?
I would love if they could drop me an email.
Okay.
My address is healing with Dr. C at gmail.com, and just drop me a line. I check it
Okay.
all the time. I'd love to be able to just have a conversation if
I'm
people
writing
are
that.
open to it.
Healing with Dr.
Healing with
Mhm.
Dr. C.
No periods, right? No
Mm-mm.
periods
Just one word,
at gmail.com.
.com. Yeah,
All right.
it would be my pleasure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And I believe that we need more advocacy. We need more support, right? We need to know what's possible. You are a living, walking, breathing, healed manifestation when you took ownership of your body and commanded your brain to fall in line. And then the dendrites, the neurons, the synapses, everything else said, yes, ma'am.
They went, okay.
Yeah, okay. You're kind of a big deal. So we're going to do that because, yes. So I absolutely love that. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to leave us with, Dr. Caroline?
Hey, listen, it's a journey. Everyone's is personal, everyone's is their own,
Yes.
and they should never judge how that works.
Mm,
It's going to be what it is.
yes.
And if you just let it go and let it flow, you
Mm,
don't know what the outcome's going to be. You really don't.
yes.
Don't judge it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, right? Because we operate in this space of judgment. And but if we just let it go and let it flow, okay, that is a new thing. Let it go and let it flow. We never know what will become manifest from that,
Exactly.
right? As you
Beautiful.
have created this line of what I call just healing jewelry. It is so healing, and you can feel it, you can see it, and so you never know what's going to be born from you as a result of just letting it go and letting it flow. Mm,
I love it.
mm. And I love you.
Thank you. And I've had so much fun talking with you, Alicia.
Likewise.
Really, you're
Likewise.
just a gem. Thank you.
Thank you. As are you. And so thank you for your yes and more to come. So Dr. Caroline's email address is in the comments if you would like to reach out to her, have a deeper dialogue, learn more about her healing jewelry, learn more about her own journey, learn more about how she can support you if you are on your own journey or have a loved one that you may need some support with too. Please reach out to her. She is so open. She is, as you can feel, there's no pretentiousness. And there is just such a love for life and a love for giving back that she possesses. So thank you for joining us on the Quintessence of Leadership, because this is what it looks like at its most highest and purest form. Thank you, Dr. Caroline. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you. That was wonderful.
Yes. All right. Until next time, beautiful people, Alicia Houston and Dr. Caroline signing off for today. Happy Women's History Month. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see, because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again. And until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace. Your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.